Hello, welcome to Hillary's Whiskey Lounge. I'm Hillary, and this is my Whiskey Lounge. Today we are going to be looking at this beautiful little thing, GlenGlassaugh Sandend, unpeated, no age statement. Glasaugh is going to be mothballed very soon by its owners, Brown-Forman. Brown-Forman is getting to be a pretty huge conglomerate in the liquor business. They own Jack Daniels and one of my favorites, GlenDronach, Scotch GlenDronach. So I just read that this beautiful baby, who had just really gone through this renaissance with this rebranding, probably not a lot of change in the way they distill, but definitely the way this beautiful bottle appears. GlenGlassaugh has been blended by Rachel Berry, who's been around a lot, most famously at mourn for a long time. Not a long time. Sorry, Rachel. I don't mean that. I mean, you were in charge of blending at mourn for a good chunk of time. So anyway, GlenGlassaugh, in January of 2025, Brown-Forman announced that they were going to be mothballing GlenGlassaugh after having just gone through this renaissance and producing this beautiful bottle that's gotten a lot of great reviews. So I don't know what they're up to. So let's review this puppy, and you can decide for yourself if you want to try to get your hands on some of these bottles before they disappear. GlenGlassaugh is made in the Northern Highlands, almost by Speyside, so in the Aberdeen region, on the northern coast of Scotland, a little east of Inverness. And it's actually made in a little fishing village called Sandend, and that's why this one is called Sandend. There's a sister bottle to this called Portsoy, and Portsoy is just a little neighboring village near Sandend. They do have also a third bottle in their core range. I think it's a 12. I'm not sure, but so this is Sandend. It's not peated. The sister bottle Portsoy is slightly smoky, slightly peated. So that's why we're going to try this one. This one is aged in bourbon and sherry and manzanilla casks. So it's got a little bit of everything. So if you're a bourbon person, if you're a sherry person, as far as casks are concerned, you're going to love this. This is also just a really nice, basic, non-assuming, non-threatening, very easy bottle to drink. And it's great for beginners. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to show it to you today. So let's do a little tasting. Oh, the ABV is 50.5%. So let's try it without any water first. And I've already poured myself a little wee dram in this cute Springbank Copita glass. So I poured this about 15 minutes ago, so it's been sitting here for a good while. And in those 15 minutes, I've been sitting here stewing about the fact that Brown-Forman is going to be mothballing GlenGlassaugh. What are you guys thinking? Okay, so let's look at how beautiful this is first. We see a nice, cool, rich amber color. Not cool, but I mean warm, nice, warm, rich amber color. It looks like honey almost. If you had to guess about what kind of casks this was matured in, you'd be torn about whether it was matured in bourbon or sherry, and it just happens to be both, plus the manzanilla casks, manzanilla kind of sherry. Okay, so, and it's actually, because of the high ABV, we're gonna see some, oh, this is, no, that's not a spot. Let's see if we can see the legs. Not yet, but they're there. All right, let's do a quick nose. Oh, it really does smell like the sea. It really does. In fact, on the label, maybe I'm just being steered by what the label's telling me, waves of tropical sweetness with a crack of sea salt. And I actually am getting a little bit of that sea salt. And you're probably wondering, how does sea salt get into whiskey if barley and water and yeast are the only ingredients? Well, a lot of it, probably the main thing, has to do with where the warehouses are, where the casks of whiskey are matured. If you're way inland, you might get a real deep earthy, um, uh, humusy smell or sense or flavor in your whiskey. But if you have a whiskey that's being matured right by the seaside, a lot of the ones in Islay, for instance, have this. They're all matured pretty much out on the coast. You will get a slight flavor or sense or smell of sea salt, and so that's what they're talking about with the crack of the sea there. And I actually can smell it. You know, when you go to the beach and your windows are still up in your car, and then you roll your windows down and you can smell, all of a sudden you're just smacked with the smell of the sea. That's what this is like a little bit. It's really nice. It's a very delicate kind of seaside smell. I am smelling some fruit and kind of a honey. Nothing peated, nothing smoked at all. It's really rich. And I think that's having to do with the 50.5% ABV. It's a really richly smelling dram. Wow. Okay, let's try this. I haven't added any water yet. Very smooth arrival, hardly any burn at all, and especially since this is 50.5%, I'm really surprised and impressed how little burn there is, because again, I haven't added any water yet. The development on the palate, you can taste that saltiness, that clean scent of being by a beach. Fruit, I'd say peaches, maybe some raisins. What are those yellow raisins called? You'll see a lot of British, UK folks refer to sultana. Sultanas are just a British style, or maybe just what they call raisins. But sultana, when you hear them talking about sultana, basically in the US, think raisin. But I'm tasting those kind of yellowish raisins, and again, I forget what they're called. Somebody let me know in the comments. Let me taste again. Another thing, the mouthfeel is juicy. You might be thinking, well, of course, it's a liquid, it's juicy, but it has this almost a viscosity that you can feel in your mouth, of course, mixed with everything else that's in your mouth. Maybe it makes you salivate a little bit more because it's so delicious. Maybe that's why we call it juicy, but it really, really is. It has it's almost like you feel like you can bite into it. And again, that might be due to there are the legs. Can you see the legs? That might be due to the alcohol content and the viscosity. Now, speaking of viscosity, I didn't see anywhere on this bottle that said it was not chill filtered and natural color. So I do need to go into their website and check that out, because on the back it says more things like inspired by the crescent beach of Sandend Bay, blah, blah, blah. Nothing about being non-chill filtered or natural color. So we got to look into that. But because of that juiciness and that viscosity, I would have guessed that it's not chill filtered. So let's add a little water. Let's see if we get a little Scottish mist. Now, every time you add water to whiskey, you're not going to get a Scottish mist, but it is sort of a nice indication when you do get it, when you do see it, which is again that very light fogging up of your glass, of your dram, which it takes a while for it to happen. I've actually had a glass of whiskey that I didn't finish. I had added water to it, but I didn't finish it. I covered it up and I left it sitting on my counter overnight. In the morning, when I saw it, it was cloudy, and that hadn't been there before. So sometimes it takes hours for that Scotch mist to come. Sometimes it comes or develops pretty quickly. So I'm not really seeing any here. And again, it's maybe too soon to tell, but I'm not sure. Maybe because Sandend, because GlenGlassaugh is owned by is it Brown-Forman? Is that what they're called? Yeah, Brown-Forman. Maybe because of that kind of large conglomerate nature of it, they're thinking because they own Jack Daniels, maybe they do chill filter and add coloring. I really have to say though, the coloring of this is gorgeous. It's very light. It looks to me very natural, and I would be really sad if this had to do with any kind of coloring. Now there's no age statement on this, which means that it has to be at least 3 years old, matured in the casks. So in those 3 years, maybe a whiskey doesn't pick up very much color, and therefore the manufacturers, the distillers, decide to add a little color to make it look like it's been matured for longer. So maybe that's the case. As I said, GlenGlassaugh does have an age statement bottle, and as I said, I think it's 10 or 12. I forgot. Somebody let me know, please. But this one isn't an age statement. So for all we know, this could be 3 years. It doesn't taste like it's a 3-year-old, but still, these are things that you just need to think about when you're buying your whiskey, when you're sipping it. However, if I didn't know anything about this bottle, if I'm just sitting here sipping, if somebody gave this to me and they said, "Here, Hillary, try this," I'd be happy with this. And so because this brand has gone through this kind of nice renaissance in the last few years, and I thought it was kind of up and coming. As I said, I think it won some award in one of the whiskey magazines, whether it's, I think, Whiskey Aficionado or Whiskey Magazine. It's really kind of up and coming. So Brown-Forman, what are you doing? Mothballing this? That's nuts. I was over at a friend of mine's, and I actually brought a bottle of this with me. My friend is not a whiskey drinker, but I actually consumed a fair amount of this bottle, and then I proceeded to leave it at my friend's house when I left. And she asked me what to do with it because she's not a whiskey drinker. I said, well, find somebody that you know who is a whiskey drinker and give it to them. And she did, and she said that this friend of hers loved it and is going to run out and buy some. So again, Brown-Forman, what are you doing? This stuff is great. Don't. Okay, so I think that this is a nice, sweet little dram. I think it's nicely done, whether or not it's chill filtered or artificially colored. I think the bottle is gorgeous. I do get that sense of fruit and a crack of the sea, as they say on the label. I think this is a good little dram, and it only costs $64. Yes, at my local beverage warehouse. It has the name Total in it has the word total in its name, which is one of my favorite beverage warehouses to go. But Mission in the Los Angeles area, they have a few shops, and you can order online from Mission Wine and Liquor. I forget what their whole name is, but if you look up Mission in Los Angeles, if you're in the area, I think they do ship nationwide too. So try them out. So yay, shout out to Mission. I think I've seen this there. They have the old iteration of GlenGlassaugh and then this new rebirth kind. So I'm still a little disturbed about this mothballing thing. I'm not going to do a, I'm not going to do a odd little thing from my whiskey lounge today. This is just upsetting to me. So I hope you'll pardon that. And if you like this video, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe, and please share if you know anybody, if you have friends who are also into whiskey, especially ones that are learning how to whiskey and how to do Scotch. I'm so happy doing these videos, and if anybody learns anything from me, I'd be happy to hear that. So thank you very much, and Slendra, and please go get yourself a bottle of this GlenGlassaugh. It's a beautiful little dram, and I definitely recommend it. So good night.